Shalom everyone, and here we are in Parashat BaMidbar, which is starting a new book, which is known in English the Book of Numbers, or in Hebrew the Book of BaMidbar, which means in the desert. But what's in it for us, right? So, what do we know about the Book of BaMidbar? The Book of BaMidbar has two themes. One theme is counting the Israelites in the desert again and again and again and again. How many with this, how many with that? It's like the whole book has those census again and again and again, and it appears from different directions. One thing. Another thing, we have few dramatic events in that book, which is, we have the sin of the spies, we have Korach, we have some dramatic falls of people and societies, and we have the story of Bilam and Balak. It's a kind of between the really boring numbers of how many Israelites were in the desert to these dramatic stories. Okay, that's what this book is about. So the question is, what's in it for us? Is it history, or maybe we're just really assuming the numbers of assessing the numbers of the Israelites? So, what do you get out of it? So, whenever we start to learn a new book from the 5 books of Moses, we try to get the big picture. And now, the big picture is about to remind all of us, and also to teach the ones who just started to join us for Parashat Shavua, that we read during the year the 5 books of Moses. After we finish the time of the holidays of Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and Simchat Torah. On Simchat Torah, what is a celebration of Simchat Torah? That we finish to read the 5 books of Moses, and we start Genesis all over again on that day. And that's why we make a big feast out of it. Really, on the spiritual aspect, we said that during those days between Rosh Hashanah and Simchat Torah, the 22 days, the Creator is giving us an opportunity for a reset. Start all over again. If you forget about it, I forget about it too. Which means the Creator is saying, I give you everything. You want to do tshuva, you want to return to me, you want to return to your original creation and purposes. Okay, I'll forget if you forget. If you let go, I will let go. So the result is that if we really did a good job during the high holidays, then all the work we did in the previous year and the work we did during the high holidays will manifest themselves. So after Simchat Torah, we will feel differently about who we are, what we are, and what is this world about. It's not about, somebody asked me today, what about, the doubts and the doubts and the doubt? Is there a God? Is there justice or not? When you're just sitting on the fence and you're starting to, you want God to come from heaven and to give you a proof. That's not, what? He tried that once. 10 plagues in Egypt, the pillar of fire, the pillar of smoke, and then we had the Mount Sinai revelation, and before we had the splitting of the Red Sea, and the manna. Do you think it helped? No. Because basically, the whole story, if you go back to last week's parasha, you need to to put a really hard work in transforming your own self. And the moment you're just going around with, I have a doubt, I have a doubt, I have a doubt, okay, if there's a doubt, there's no doubt. You are the doubt person. And that means doubt in Hebrew is safek, same letters as pasek. You're cut off. And you know what? Psychologically, forget about Kabbalah, forget about spirituality, forget about faith. If you insist of being positive, hopeful, optimistic, and you get yourself happy every day unconditionally, we all know how tough it is, you're going to have a better life. So, if you're going just to sit there and say, I don't know, I doubt it, I doubt it, I doubt it, for sure you're going to have a miserable life. So, you make your choice. Okay? Faith is a choice you have to make every day, every hour, to connect to positivity. You want to call that positivity God. You want to call it spirituality. You want to connect it to. You want to call it positive energy. It doesn't matter. This is the light of God we're talking about. You want to connect to it. These are the rules. You have to become that light that you want to connect to. And so, with the moment you see that you are, after the high holidays, that you are nicer to people, nicer to yourself, you are less busy with doubts and you're more busy of creating your life, you know, you really did it. This year, you moved up one level. Now that everything looks different, hopefully, then you need to start all over again, because your perspective is different. So you start from Genesis, or in Hebrew. The words in Hebrew, I'm translating like word by word. To start from Bereshit means to start all over again, to do a reset. So we have to start all over again how to walk. When you walk using your right side and you're using your left side, and you're using that system that balances the two, that you're not going in a zigzag. When you get drunk, you lose it. And then you can't walk straight on a white line. So, and that's called the consciousness of Abraham, that's the right column, the consciousness of Isaac, the left one, and Jacob is the central column. So when you learn that in the book of Genesis, all of these basic apps that you need in order to live a life, now, after you learn how to walk, you have to fight for your freedom. And that is the book of Exodus. You have to get out of slavery to all kinds of states of mind that, I can't, the world is too negative, this is impossible. All of these great inventors and revolutionaries that thanks to them humanity now is much better than it used to be. They are the people who believed in the good, and they declared war over the old concepts. And therefore we have to thank them, and not just thank them. Thanking them is assuming that position on ourselves. And this is the book of Exodus, of fighting our own negativities, fighting our own Pharaoh, and that's the whole book about. And when you fight, you get miracles. Miracles do happen. Now, the book of Leviticus, that was Vayikra, which means, and he called, it's about the calling. Now you're free, you need to know what's your calling. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do with your life? Who do you want to be? And as my teacher used to say, if you take away all the troubles from a person, most people will have an identity crisis, because most people identify themselves with all what's bad. I have this condition, I have this trouble, I have this trauma, I have this fear. This is not you. This is your dungeon. But who are you? As long as you don't know who do you want to be, how can you get out of the dungeon? So that was the book of Leviticus, which is Vayikra. Now we just finished it. Now the book of Numbers. Let's see what the book of Numbers is about. It's exciting. It's like, what's the calling? We're going to read that book till we're going to finish the reading on the 9th of Av. Okay? So what is this book about? So the book of Numbers, chapter 1, verse 1, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe BaMidbar Sinai, and God spoke to Moses in the desert of Sinai. The name is the desert. Be'ol Moed, Be'echad Lachodesh Hashani, it was in the tabernacle on the first day of the second month, after they left Egypt, saying, and here is the problem. In some of the translations, it says, make a census of the Israelites. But the Hebrew text literally doesn't say so. It says, Se'u et rosh kol adat bnei Israel. Se'u means raise up. Et rosh, the heads of all the congregation of the children of Israel. לממשפחותם, for the families, לבית אבותם, for the their descending father line, במספר שמות, and here comes the word במספר, in the number. That's the English name of the book. Numbers is coming from here. שמות כל זכר לגולגלותם. Okay, every male to their heads. Now, what do we get from that, which is just basically the theme for, as we said, most of the book. And they count, and they count. In order to understand that, let's go to the Zohar of this parasha, and I'm reading from the Zohar with Pirush HaSulam of Rav Ashlag, verse 1. Rabbi Abba patach, Vayivra Elohim et Adam betzalmo. And Rabbi Abba opened and said, and God, he quotes from Genesis chapter 1, and God created Adam in his image. Haikra itmar. We already explained that verse, but every verse in the Torah has many aspects. We want to borrow one aspect for our parasha. Tachazi, come and see. B'sha'ata devara kudsha brichu la'adam, avad lei b'diukana de'ilai v'tatai. When the Creator created Adam, he created him in the image of the upper worlds and the lower worlds. Heaven and earth. They were both in the image of Adam. V'hava kalil mikul aini was included of both. All of them. V'hava neorei nair, and his light was shining. The light of Adam was shining all over the universe. Misayfe alma ad sayfe alma. V'havu dachalin kamei kula. V'afal gav, da'u k'moa, it listakla bei behagikra. Although we already explained that verse, let's read it deeply, from another point of view. Vayivra Elohim et Adam betzalmo, betzelem Elohim bara oto. What does it say? As we said, Genesis chapter 1, on the sixth day. And God created Adam in his image. In the image of God, he created him. Can't you see that it's redundant? Why the repetition? Kevan damar betzalmo, mai betzelem Elohim. Since he said betzalmo, in his image, why does he have to add in the image of God? He created him. As we said, this is redundant. Elavadai tren dargin dichlilan dechar v'nukba. This is to show that Adam was made of two aspects, male and female. Not like people don't get what it says in the Torah itself, and they say that Eve was created from the rib. This is just, that idea is a superstition that is coming from a place to degrade women. Oh, she was created from a rib, so how much does she worth, right? If she's just from a rib. Okay? But it's not, the Zohar says, no, it's not. Chad ledachar v'chad lenukba. Because, when it says in that verse that Adam was created in the image of God, in the image of God he created him, how does it continue? Male and female, he created them. Which means Adam had two faces. One female, one male, and Adam was included of both. So, this is the mistranslation. If you don't really know good Hebrew, you don't realize that the word Sela could be a rib. But in this context, it means a side. Adam had two sides, female and male. One side was Adam, the other one was Eve. Later on, God separated the two sides. Eve was not a rib, she was a side. Okay? So, and what does it mean for us? So, when we're talking about Adam, that he was male and female, upper and lower, Adam had the ability, and because Adam is the source of all of us, all humans, just to show that the job of a human being is to be a magical creature. As I said many times, only a human being can take a mundane action and make it divine. Only a human being can be in both worlds. Only a human being can eat some food and create a divine experience out of it. Only a human being has physical senses and divine imagination and understanding. This is our calling. That's how we were created. That's why it is to say that Adam was dual. Two sides, upper and lower, male and female, giving and receiving everything in one. And that's the job of a human being, to bring things together, to synthesize. As we said, when we're walking, one side of you pulls you to the right, one pulls you to the left, and your job is to create a straight line. When you're drunk, you lose that ability, and then you go in zigzag. When you go with your right foot, you go all the way to the right. You go with the left foot, you go all the way to the left. So you can't keep straight line because you lost your balance. So the balance is not just walking straight, it's also looking straight. The same thing about your eyes. Each eye, if you do like this, each eye sees a different picture. Close one eye, close the other one. Each eye sees a different picture. But if you look with both eyes, I hope you see only one finger. Correct? What does it mean? That your brain has something that, instead of your two eyes fighting who's right, your brain is creating a 3D picture, right? So, and that's what, to show us the ability of a human being to see, my need and somebody else's need, my life and somebody else's life, giving and receiving as one whole picture. That makes us human. To see that my interests and other people's interests, they have to coincide. That's called the tree of life consciousness. Okay? Now, we continue verse 4 in the Zohar. והיה מסתכל בחוכמה למעלה ולמטה. And Adam had the ability to see the wisdom of the physical world and the spiritual world, which means, physics, whatever. He just saw the whole picture because he was not a slave to the physical limitations that we are, the way we are. כיוון שחטא, since he sinned, נתמעטו הפרצופים, the whole thing collapsed. והחוכמה נסתלקה ממנו, he lost the wisdom. ולא היה מסתכל עליו בדברי הגוף שלו, he could see only through his body. Remember, Adam had no physical body before the sin, because he could see the whole universe, so he didn't look through physical eyes. Okay? After the sin, he could see only through the eyes, think only with the brain, and feel only with the other senses. אחר כך הוליד בנים עליונים ותחתונים. Then he brought children that were also dual, Cain and Abel. Both were a mess. Both was a failed launch. Abel died, Cain was murdered. Nothing came out of that. The consciousness of the two lineages of Cain and Abel did not linger. You had to create the third column, central column, and that was Seth. Says the Zohar, and from Seth in Hebrew, Shet, from him the world was nishtal. You could finally plant humanity that can grow. However, the world was in a mess. The first few millennia in the history of mankind, we were trying all kinds of ways, and some of the stories echo with the story of the flood and the story of the Tower of Babel. Humanity was really perplexed. That's why it's called the age of Tohu, wonder. We were like wondering what's going on over here. Only Abraham came, says the Zohar, ונתקיים העולם אבל לא נשלם. And the world stopped falling apart when Abraham came. And the Zohar says, what does it look like? It's like if Abraham was the right column, so the Zohar says, כמי שאוחז בימינו של מי שנפל. It was like somebody is holding the right arm of somebody who fell. If you're holding his right arm, he's not falling anymore. If you're holding strong enough, but he's still not stable. Came Isaac, now he's holding the left arm of mankind. Okay? Still, mankind is kind of stumbling, being held by Abraham and Isaac with a consciousness. How could two people support the whole of mankind? We'll see. When Jacob came, he held the middle. So we're talking about Abraham, it's Abraham and Sarah, Isaac is Isaac and Rivka, and Jacob is Jacob and Rachel, and then later on Leah. So now the world was established, right, left, and center, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Im kol ze, lo nishtal ha'olam b'shorashav, the world was still not really viable. Ad sheYaakov alid Youdkevitch shvatim v'ayin nefesh, till Jacob brought to the world 12 sons, 12 tribes. And 70 people that came out from these, they are the ones who went into Egypt. V'nishtal ha'olam. Now the world was finally secure. Im kol ze, however, that was not ready yet. Till Mount Sinai, the Israelites received the Torah, the tabernacle was established later on, and then the tribes were camping around as it's being described in this parasha, each one to his own side, and they were basically camping in a structure that manifests the formula of reality, which has 12, like we have 12 sides, which is, we have south, north, west, and east, right? Each one of them has 3 directions, altogether 12. 12 months of the year, 12 signs of the zodiac, a lot of 12 particles in physics. Everything is based on physical nature, based on 12. Now, since the Torah is established, since the tabernacle is established, the Creator wanted to count the armies of the Torah. Just a second. Didn't he know how many? He's God. He's supposed to know how many before they know they exist, right? And by the way, isn't that already a year since they get the manna? When we get the manna for a year, the one who's giving us the manna is supposed to know how many people he's feeding, right, every day. So, and how many people are drinking water every day. That was supposed to be in the account. So why do you need to count us? And the answer is like this. בואו ראה, come and see. כל דבר שצריך להתיישב במקומו, דהיינו לקשר הענף שלמטה בשורשו שלמעלה, אינו מתיישב עד שנזכר בפה ונתמנה עליו. Whatever has to be settled down and to connect the physical reality, any aspect of physical reality, with its source in the upper world, in the spiritual reality, that needs the words of mouth. You need abracadabra. Abracadabra is Hebrew, which means I create as I speak. Which means, let's say you have 2 neighbors. One neighbor they don't care about Shabbat. Okay? Shabbat comes in, they're watching TV, basketball, maybe baseball, maybe a movie. The kids are playing with their computer or their smartphones. Somebody is cleaning in the house or making food, and you don't feel Shabbat is coming. There's no Shabbat. Same house, next door, there is somebody who put tables, set white cloth on the tables, set the candles, and made the blessing on the candles. Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק ner shel Shabbat. That moment, Shabbat, Holy Spirit, settles on the whole apartment. So here you have Shabbat, the magical energy of the Holy Shabbat, and here you don't. What was the difference? Here there were actions to summon in the light of Shabbat, and there were words being said to invite it in by lighting the candles. Later on, you come back from the synagogue and then you sing to the angels and to the Holy Spirit of Shabbat, Shalom Aleichem and Eshet Chayil. Then you bless, you make a kiddush on the wine, the whole house vibrates Shabbat. Who did it? Shabbat doesn't come by itself. You have to bring it in. You have to call it in. And it's the actions, but the actions are not enough. You have to make and say the words, Abracadabra. I create a reality as I speak. Now, so what is the connection over here? Afkan Ratza Kadosh Baruch Hu Lispor HaChayalot Shel HaTorah. So here, God wanted to count the armies of the Torah. Just a second. What did we say? Lispor. The word lispor has few meanings. It means to count, but it has another meaning. We are right now in the time that is called the Sfirat HaOmer. From Passover till Shavuot, 7 weeks that we're counting. Why do we have to count them? Don't you have a calendar? Why you have to count? Don't you know how many 7 weeks are about? So we said, Sfirat Omer, you can translate it as the counting of the Omer. However, in Hebrew, it means also something else. Sfira, everybody knows what are Sfirot, the illuminations of God. Sfira, the illumination. Omer has another meaning, which is called the white light of the Creator, says the Zohar. So what are we doing every day of the counting of the Omer? By saying today is the 36th day of the Omer, which is 5 weeks and 1 day. The moment I say that, then I say Chesed is today, I'm correcting Chesed of Yesod. The moment I said that, I brought the illumination. So the word to count, lispor in Hebrew, has 2 meanings. One is really to count, 1, 2, 3, and the other one is, which both of them happen the same thing, as we said before. You do something physical, but you bring inside a magical, divine, spiritual content. As you count, you bring in the illumination. And by saying it, that illumination becomes part of your life. But there's another thing. Raise the heads of the children of Israel. That's also the word to bring into account. What does it mean? כדי לקשר את ישראל בשורשם, to connect the children of Israel to their source, heavenly source. How? When every person was counted, it was all happened on the first day of the second month. And the Zohar says, why the first day of the second month? Because the second month, which is the month of Iyar, which means light, or in the biblical name Ziv, which means also light. That's why the book of this light, the Zohar, was finished on this, during Lag BaOmer. All of this is because it's a month of illumination. So by going from one person to another and counting them, it was not counting them, it was appointing each one of them. That's what raised the head. Appointing each one of them to their position. From now on, you're not just simple people. From now on, you have the power to appoint the light into the physical reality. To bring in spirituality into physical, inanimate objects. You have the power to do that. Why is it important for us? Because when we're looking at the story, it was a time that most people, who worked in the temple, who worked in the tabernacle, the Levites and the Kohanim and the Kohens. Most people were not part of it. The Kohanim and the Levites, they did it for everyone. And the others, the high holidays, whatever, they came to the temple and participated in semi-passive way in the worship. But the temple did the job for everyone. And you know what? That was good for the beginning. There was a time that was not good anymore. The temple has been destroyed, and now the whole project has been outsourced. And what do we say when we study the book of Shemot about the building of the tabernacle? That maybe we can say that Englishman's home is his castle, but according to the Torah, your home is your temple, and you are the high priest or priestess of your temple, which means you have to assume position, and that's what it says, Seu et rosh, raise the head. Give them, each one of them, their illumination. So you have 12 tribes, 12 signs of the zodiac. How is this connected? Oh, that's very simple. If you go to chapter 2 in the book of Numbers, the way it's being said over there, it makes it really clear. Unless you have big resistance to that. Chapter 2, verse 1. וידבר השם משה ולאהרון לאמור, and God spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, verse 2, איש על דגלו באותות לבית אבותם. Each on his flag, באותות, with signs, to the house of their fathers. Okay, so every tribe had flags and also signs. You know, why would you say that those signs are zodiac signs? It's very simple. You go to Genesis chapter 1 on the fourth day, and it says that the star and the moon and the stars were created to be otot, signs. Same word is being used in Genesis for the stars and the zodiac signs, and for the tribes. Same otot. Same word. This word is very rare in the Torah. I think it's the only two places it's being mentioned. One for the tribes, one for the zodiac signs. Same thing. Why is it important? And by the way, who could really believe there are only 12 types of people? Like, if you know a little bit of, psychology, like I'm talking not, you didn't just graduate psychology, you just spoke with people. There are no 12 different kinds of people. It's like endless. Every person is somehow unique for himself, correct? That's why it says, you have your sign, birth sign, the month sign, but you have also your rising sign. And by this we understand that yes, there are 12 basic types, but each one of us is a kind of a combination of these types that never been before, will never be after. So each one of us is a unique, because it's like a big, every person is like a kaleidoscope of the signs and the planets and the elements. I don't want to go into it, but it makes every person unique. Every person was born different hour, different time, different place, different space. Even twins, they're born separately. Like there's some few minutes away, and also you have a bag of what do you bring with you. Now, so today that we don't have the physical temple, as we said, we have not just the opportunity, but the obligation to assume position. And that's what the book of BaMidbar is about. It's all about the power of a human being to create his or her reality. Realizing, and that's what this parsha is about, it's about appointing each one of us by giving us, you can say every person was born in a different month, different hour, different year. Each one of them shows that we're unique just from that aspect. And of course, this is just a symbolic thing, because we're different by other things also. And that's why Rabbi Ashlag is emphasizing in his essay about freedom, personal freedom, that every human being is so unique, that why coercion is so dangerous, because the moment you coerce and you oppress a human being, all the light he's supposed to reveal in this world will be lost for mankind, because there's no other like you, or like you. So oppression is very dangerous, especially if you're a teacher, if you're a rabbi, your spiritual teacher, your guru, your coach, your father, your mother. How would you know what's good for the other person? You just have to nurture them, but you can't be oppressive in your guidance, because that's a sin against reality, against humanity, and against the creation. So each one of us is different. The fact is that we were created differently, we are born differently, we live differently, we have different likes, and we have different preferences, and also we have different talents. And each one of us has the obligation to find its own. And the point of this book of Numbers is to assume position. That each one of us, by reading that, is being taken into account, is being given that godly obligation to understand that when you say something, when you do something, when you bring in spirituality into your action, you do it in your own unique way. You can learn from others, but you're not supposed to imitate them. Because finally, you're going to have your own version of the truth and reality and position in all what reality is about, that you have to find it for yourself and nobody can show it to you. Now, how do we see that? We go now to verse 10 in the Zohar. Rabbi Yitzchak Patach. Rabbi Yitzchak is quoting from Psalms. Hashem zecharanu yivarech, yivarech et bet Israel. God will bless our males. He will bless the house of Israel. Says the Zohar, Elu hagvarim she'olim becheshbon BaMidbar. These are the men that were taken into account in the desert. That the Creator, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mevarech otam umosif aleim bechol pam. That the Creator is blessing them, and He adds on blessings all the time. So just a second, did we say He's counting them? No. He's blessing them. Each time He counts them, He's not counting, He's giving them a new illumination. Oh, that's a different picture. It's not counting to know how many. It's not, we have an accounting department in heaven. We have to know how many people we're feeding, right? Because we have to report. No, that's not the issue. It's taking an account. It means illuminating. Lispor is to shine and to illuminate. Boe, what do we learn from that? Come and see. Mishomer, that's verse 11 in the Sulam. Rabbi Ashlak's translation over the Zohar. Mishomer shivcho shel chavro. Whoever speaks about the qualities of his friend. You praise your friend because he has very successful kids. He is very successful business-wise. Whatever, he is a great this and a great that and a great that. The moment you speak about somebody else's qualities, tzarich levacho, you have immediately to bless him. You're not just say, oh, this guy has so much. You have to, and I bless him that he will have even more. You have to say that. Lehodot al brachot, you have to be thankful over the blessings of the other person. Me'ayin lanu? How do we know? From Moses. Moses, as it says, and this is in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1. Ve'inechem hayom kekochvei hashamayim la'orov. You are today multiple like the stars of the heaven. And then immediately, what does it say? Hashem Elokei avotechem Yosef alechem kachem elef pamim. The God, your Lord, will add more upon you, like you, 1,000 times more. And then he adds, Veivarech etchem kasher diber lechem, and he's going to bless you, like he promised you. Which means, what do we see over there? What do we learn from Moses? When you count somebody's blessings, first of all, you have to be thankful about it, like it's your blessings. And the second thing, you have to bless them to have even more. Don't put a limit on that. That's very important. So we learned that two blessings. One is blessing of what there is. The two is adding blessings. Whatever you have, you should have even more than that. That's when you speak about somebody else's success in every aspect, that's how you should treat it. If you can't do that, say nothing. Okay? Why? You don't want to hurt yourself. How do I hurt yourself? Because when you hurt somebody else, when you limit their blessings, you limit your blessings, because they're law of cause and effect. For every action, there is an opposite reaction. You open their fortune, you open your fortune. You close their fortune. Say like, he has so much, and I wonder how come he has so much money. He's pretty dumb, this guy. The moment you say that, your words have power. The moment you say that with a purpose to hurt someone, you hurt yourself first. And that's what's dangerous. If you count somebody else's blessings and you're not acknowledging that, approving of that, and you're not thankful for that, like you'll be thankful for yourself, you'll be caught up first. The moment you say, how come this guy has so much money? You know what? When you write a letter to the IRS, this guy, I think he's cheating. They check you first. Same thing in the IRS, a heavenly one. The moment you start, this kind of in a humoristic way, the moment you start telling the heavens about what's wrong with another person, they say, oh, this guy that sees what's wrong with other people, he must be a tzaddik, he must be righteous, he must be complete. Let's reward him, let's check out his rights and duties. And then they audit your account first. Oh, who's going to pay who's going to be caught up first? You are. Why? Why did you raise your voice? And a more serious aspect, the moment you shut down the blessings for others, for every reaction, there's an opposite and equal, for every action there's opposite and equal reaction. So you'll be damned, says the Zohar, if you just counting somebody's blessings without being thankful and without blessing that person to have even more. If you bless that person, the guy who blesses the others is being blessed by himself. What is the connection between what we just said and the beginning? And the answer is very simple. The answer is something that we spoke about in the previous parashot. A person has to be aware of the power handed over to him, being a human being, having the ability to think, to choose between good and evil, light or darkness, and also the ability to speak, to create words and pictures, and to create a future, to heal the past, to strengthen the present, plant seeds in the present. The moment you have that ability, you have to acknowledge that ability, and you cannot abuse it. The whole thing in the beginning was that we, in this parasha, are being appointed to our position. Each one of us. That's what's in it for me. And what does it mean? Be careful. Because what you're asking for, what you're wishing for yourself, for others, you might get it. Never ever curse yourself, never ever curse another human being. Never ever limit somebody's blessings, because your words are so powerful. And we spoke about it when we said, when you speak terribly next to food, that food will get moldy much faster than when you bake or cook the food with a lot of love and happiness and singing. That's already been proven. the rice test. You can find it on the internet. So, that's why we said, "V'tzarich levarcho b'ayin tova." So you have to bless the other person with a good eye, v'lo b'ayin ra, not with an evil eye. Uv'chol davar rotzeh HaKadosh Baruch Hu ahavat halev, because the Creator wants in everything the love that is coming authentically from the heart. Rotzeh HaKadosh Baruch Hu shivarcho b'ayin tova v'lev tov, and God wants you to bless your friend. And even if it's not your friend, it's another human being. It's your teammate in this journey that is called life on earth. You have to do it with a good eye and a good heart. מי שמברך את הקדוש ברוך הוא על אחת כמה וכמה שצריך עין טובה ולב טוב ואהבת הלב. So, and of course, when you bless God, and when you bless God, can we bless God? Would He be different after we bless Him? He's not better off when we bless Him. So what is the blessing of God? The blessing of God, we bless because by the blessing, we pull down the blessings from above. So we create with our words a bridge between the heaven and the earth. When we say Baruch, we connect to the bet is the bet of Bereshit, the bet is of Bina, and the Reish of Reshit Chochma, and the Vav is Dat, and the Kaf is Keter. Just when we say Baruch, we awaken the source of light. Ata Hashem Elokeinu, right, center, left. We start with building the pipes of bringing the light in. So when we say a blessing, we just create a conduit to bring spiritual light to our physical domain. So when you do it with happiness and a good heart, you awaken positive light. But when you do it because I'm doing it because God told me and I have no idea and I'm not supposed to know why, just do it because you're told to. You really believe that God is an old, nasty man sitting up there on a throne. He's just waiting for you to make a mistake so he's going to catch you and punish you. This picture of a God destroyed so many people's lives by thinking that God is vindictive, He's never forgiving, He's waiting for you just to make the mistake to smite you. Well, this is not God. That's an idol. That's a paganism, believing in something like this. When we talk about Abraham, Isaac, and Joseph, and Jacob, and then Joseph, we talk about really knowing there is a God which is an endless love and life force. He can't change His mind about you. He's crazy about all of us. More, the sages are saying, more than the calf wants the milk, the cow, his mother, wants to give him the milk, but she'll never force it upon him. She's not a human mother. She's a cow. Same thing, God. He never forces it upon us because it's bad to force it on somebody else. But He is willing to give. He's giving us a space to bring it down. How? When we speak with love, when we bless with love, we assume position because our words have power. When you create a community that everybody speaks positive, everybody speaks with love, you lift up, you have a lift off. And that community will rise. It's a business community, it's a family community, it doesn't matter. You'll see that those people become healthier, richer, more positive, more creative, everything good. Why? Because they acknowledge the power of their speech. When you see a bunch of people that are stupid fools, they have no idea and they just curse every second word. And they complain whenever they can, and even more than that. You create a poisonous environment. And you don't understand, it's all about the words. It's all about, it has to be respectful, it has to be with dignity, it has to be with love. Why? Because when that are the energies you generate and you create, this is where you dwell. And that is the symbol of the book of Numbers. No, it's not Numbers, it's Lispor. Lispor means to illuminate, to shine, to bring in the light. to instill the light into inanimate, all the kingdoms of life, to instill it in your life, it take your responsibility and become a recruited soldier of the Creator in this world. Be that person that believes, that has faith, that has certainty that he can change the world for the better. And if you have the trust and the certainty into it, this parasha is saying you can make that change. Because that's what, why is it important if I curse the person? If my words have no power, I didn't hurt anyone, and I was not hurt because of this. But if I understand that my words have power, and the more conscious I am about it, the more power I have. One of the most memorable sentences in the whole book of Numbers is in the story of the spies. They come back after 40 days in the promised land, and they give the report, and they say, we saw the giants. And the moment we saw the giants, we saw ourselves as grasshoppers, like little insects. And the moment we saw ourselves like that, they saw us like that. Which means the way you see yourself, that's the way the world will treat you. Assume position. Be that magical person that has the ability to instill with positive, kind words, with the wisdom, with the knowledge, to instill every second in his spiritual environment, his business environment, his family environment, that the words will, you have responsibility to the world, and the more responsibility you feel for that, the more power your words have. So when you have a positive talk, and a talk with love, you bring it down to this world. So what if the world is darker than it should? How can you make a difference if everything was perfect? How can you feel that the world needs your words and your love if the world didn't need it? So instead of looking at it and criticize it, take an action and become that person that can change things and make them better. So good luck with the journey. We have now 10 weeks of hard work to assume position and to really instill consciousness into actions, spirituality into reality, and the most of it, realize that we are magical creatures and we can command positivity into our lives. Certainty. Good luck with that, and thank you.